Chapter 41. Reuniting with Qiuling and Yunlu, 1991. In my first semester, I stayed in a dorm and truly experienced the university life I had missed in China. Engaging with my dorm mates was exciting and humbling. I often felt foolish due to my poor spoken English. However, this pushed me to improve quickly, and after just 6 months, I was able to communicate fluently with my classmates. Throughout this period, my thoughts were with Qiuling and Yunlu, who were still in Shanghai. My goal was straightforward, to bring them to America as soon as possible. To achieve this, I needed to earn top grades. 2 months into the semester, I took my first midterm exams in 3 English literature courses. My results, 2 A's, 1 B. Those grades were good enough to reunite my family. With this, Qiuling and Yunlu secured their dependent study visas to join me in the USA record-breaking feat at the time. In May 1991, just 4 months after our heartfelt goodbye, Qiuling and Yunlu landed in New York. At LaGuardia Airport, the sight of Qiuling's radiant smile, full of life, warmth, and compassion, immediately revealed to me the true meaning of home. From that moment, we adopted our American names, Frank, June, and Lucy. We started living in uptown Manhattan, but eventually moved to eastern Brooklyn. The moving day turned out to be quite a spectacle. June brought a total of 6 pieces of luggage from China. We probably resembled rural Chinese migrant workers coming to the city, or young scholars dispatched to the countryside for re-education. Large bags slung over our shoulders, bulky packages in our hands, and our 4-year-old daughter by our side. Here we were in the USA, navigating subways, switching lines, and ultimately performing a stunning Shanghai-style move, squeezing ourselves and our large belongings into a single New York taxi. The driver stared at 6 bags of luggage and 3 of us, utterly speechless. In Manhattan, we astonished New Yorkers, moving through the city like an unstoppable force. If history were to record our time's noteworthy events, ours would surely be included. The subway transfers were thrilling adventures. Overloaded with luggage, I moved like a firefighter, desperately pulling bags from the train before the doors slammed shut. Holding Lucy tightly, June courageously wedged herself between the closing doors to buy me time. There were times when I couldn't react quickly enough with 6 bags. The doors would start to close, threatening to split us apart for good. In those tense moments, an unforeseen hero stepped in. Someone strong and agile would hold back the unforgiving mechanical doors, rescuing us from calamity. New York might appear unforgiving, but a surprising kindness was hidden beneath its tough exterior. Upon reaching our Brooklyn subway stop, we encountered a challenging hurdle, a steep staircase with at least 20 steps. We stood beside our pile of luggage, feeling uncertain and apprehensive. This neighborhood had a reputation for being unsafe, and though we had no specific cause for suspicion, leaving our belongings unattended left us uneasy. So, we devised a plan. One person would watch the luggage while the other carried it upstairs, 1 trip at a time. After struggling to move just 2 bags upstairs, I found myself exhausted, my shirt soaked, and my breath coming in heavy gasps. At that moment, a black man approached me and asked,
"Need help?"
I paused. We truly needed assistance, but would he run off with our bags? Before I could answer, he effortlessly grabbed one of our heaviest suitcases.
"Come on, let's carry this one together. I'll take another with my other hand."
Before I knew it, he had picked up another bag and motioned for me to follow. Together, we raced up and down the stairs, swiftly relocating our entire load to the exit. He waved a quick goodbye and vanished into the city without another word. In our most desperate moment in a city we'd heard described as cold, dangerous, and heartless, we experienced an act of genuine kindness from a stranger, a black man. In China, we absorbed stereotypes surrounding race and Western culture. Yet this man did not steal from us or seek anything in return. He offered help without hesitation or judgment. Standing breathless on that Brooklyn street, I pondered, did we appear so desolate that even a thief would not bother? Or was it something deeper? Perhaps we had truly witnessed the essence of America, a land where kindness rises above race, nationality, and background. Regardless of the answer, this unexpected act of generosity profoundly altered our view of this new world forever. Funding my education myself left me with a staggering $10,000 debt. To cover a full year's tuition, I aimed for New York, often touted as the paradise for part-time workers. However, to my surprise, the job market there was highly competitive. For 2 grueling weeks, my efforts to secure a job yielded nothing. After observing my fruitless search, June remarked,
"Maybe I should try it. It might be easier for women to find work."
She began perusing the ads in a Chinese newspaper and, within days, discovered a job at a garment factory. Situated in an old building near Times Square, the factory was just steps away from the red light district. Outside its entrance, tall black men loitered aimlessly, their shoulders twitching involuntarily, a scene that reminded me of the unruly youths I often spotted in Shanghai's backstreets. To access the 5th-floor workshop, one had to ride a rickety, shaky elevator secured by an iron gate, the same type I had encountered in Shanghai's aging structures along the Bund, still jolting and swaying despite their age. A shrewd Fujianese woman ran the factory, smuggled into America by infamous snakeheads. All her employees, a group of fellow countrymen, had arrived the same way. And so, fresh off the plane and still clinging to dreams of America, June plunged directly into the harsh reality of the slums, not the back streets of Shanghai this time, but the crowded, high-rise sweatshops of New York City. And she didn't go alone. Alongside her was our 4-year-old daughter, Lucy. From that moment, June and I became true comrades in arms, fighting for our family's survival in a foreign land. Wherever there was money to be made, that was our battlefield. For the first time, we could choose our work, decide how much to work, or even whether to work at all. We did not even have this freedom in China. June quickly became a standout in the factory, not because of her skills, but because she was the only worker there with legal status in the U.S. That alone made her the subject of envy among the smuggled-in sisters. Each of them had paid a hefty $30,000 to sell themselves to snakehead smugglers. They had risked their lives crossing the roaring Pacific Ocean, enduring horrors beyond imagination, only to spend a decade in the shadows before they could even hope for legalization. And June? She had simply boarded a plane, with her daughter, reunited with her whole family. What a privilege. The factory used the dreaded piece rate system. The more you produced, the more you earned. It took June a whole week to sew her first acceptable garment. But she didn't complain. Instead, she laughed it off. When she couldn't keep up, she kept herself busy in other ways, brewing tea for co-workers, making snacks for the seamstresses, and helping wherever she could. Her presence brightened the workshop, and little Lucy darting between the sewing machines became a symbol of warmth and innocence for these women, each of whom had left their families behind. As the summer break neared its end, it was time for us to leave New York. But the factory owner panicked. She liked June. She didn't want to lose her.
Making money is the most important thing. Stay here, earn money, support your husband, pay for his tuition.
June paused, considering.
That makes sense,
she mused.
Now that I can earn, why don't our daughter and I stay in New York? It's just like Shanghai here. I'll support you here in New York, and you can go back to school. Wouldn't that be the best of both worlds?
We returned together to Kansas. We both knew we wouldn't split our family apart for money. Before heading back, we took one final detour, a journey through the heart of American history. Since meeting President Reagan during his visit to Shanghai in 1984, I'd felt an intense curiosity about America. Now that I was finally here, I was eager to explore it firsthand. Following our time in New York City, the center of America's economy and culture, we traveled through New England and the East Coast. Our stops included Philadelphia, the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence, Plymouth, where the Mayflower Pilgrims arrived in 1620, Boston, the bastion of the American Revolution and home to the prestigious Harvard University and MIT, Buffalo, renowned for the breathtaking Niagara Falls, Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and Jamestown, one of America's oldest colonial settlements. As I stood in these places, I found myself asking one question over and over. What made the United States the most remarkable and unbelievable miracle country in human history? I had left one world behind. Now I was determined to understand this new one. One of our most anticipated stops was Harvard University, America's equivalent of Beijing University. Following the map, I drove from Boston to Cambridge. Along the way, I caught a glimpse of the iconic domed building of MIT, standing proudly in the distance. After a few turns, we found ourselves approaching what seemed like a campus, but there were no gates, no walls, just open space. I pulled over to check the map and ask for directions. Nearby, I saw a few people wandering around a red brick building. Just as I was about to approach them, I turned my head. And there it was, the famous statue of John Harvard. I looked around, realizing we were already in the heart of Harvard's campus. The University Hall was right in front of us. Surrounding it were dark red brick buildings, over a few hundred years old, ordinary in appearance, yet exuding a deep academic spirit. The vast, well-manicured lawns stretch in all directions. That's when it hit me. Harvard University had no gates. As we traveled more, we realized this wasn't an exception. American universities didn't have gates or walls that could be closed off. They were integrated seamlessly into the towns and cities. They were, as Americans called them, open universities. Universities without barriers. And then a thought struck me. This is why China needs reform and opening up everywhere we go. We have doors that can be shut tightly. But America doesn't need to open up because it doesn't even have doors to close. But why? Why don't American universities build gates? What is the purpose behind this openness? Fort Hays State University is located in Hays, Kansas, a small city right at the geographical center of the United States. This state lies at the heart of the country. With a population of just 20,000, Hays is small, with university students comprising half its population. Main Street is the downtown area, a commercial stretch small enough to be less than 100 meters long. However, Hays is quite important as the political, economic, and cultural center of northwest Kansas, being the seat of Ellis County. Both President Eisenhower and Vice President Bob Dole originated from nearby counties. Most importantly, Hays is situated along Interstate 70, a key highway across America from east to west that keeps this small town connected to the larger world. Kansas was a vast expanse of golden wheat fields, America's breadbasket. From the sky, it looks like a flat, desert-like plain. From the ground, The horizon stretches so far that it feels as though the sky is resting upon it. Driving along the highways, we saw endless fields of wheat, corn, and sunflowers stretching as far as the eye could see. The perfectly divided geometric plots resembled a giant grid, meticulously drawn onto a vast canvas, with glistening grain silos scattered like distant beacons. But something was distinctly missing. No farmer was in sight. This puzzled us deeply. Wasn't America an agricultural powerhouse? Who was tending these fields? Where were all the people? Eager to solve this mystery, we observed as we journeyed across the country. However, the situation stayed the same no matter how far we went. We consistently witnessed endless farmland, beautifully tended fields, and tractors in motion, but never the farmers themselves. This puzzle challenged everything I knew about agriculture. How could a country this vast, with such abundant farmland, have seemingly so few people working the land? Had technology replaced human labor entirely, or was something deeper at play? This wasn't merely a question of farming, it touched on the very nature of American society and industry. I was determined to find the answer. Our first Thanksgiving in America came, yet we hardly grasped its importance. June's English teacher, Carol, graciously invited us to celebrate the holiday at her home. While I studied, June cared for Lucy and joined free English lessons with other Chinese classmates. Every Sunday, Carol, who also taught Sunday school at a local church, invited the class to attend services. These experiences were intriguing and new to us. Carol's home, located about 20 minutes from Hayes, sat comfortably amid vast, endless farmland. I drove along her beautifully paved driveway, approaching a standalone house. This marked our first visit to an American family. Carol greeted us warmly at the door, her smile radiating kindness. Stepping inside, I immediately noticed an elegant hallway on the second floor, its graceful railing softly illuminated. To the left was a spacious, inviting living room. To the right, a sophisticated study filled with books, antiques, and carefully displayed collectibles. Carol introduced us to her husband, Peter, who greeted us enthusiastically. He proudly showed me his treasured possessions, beautifully bound Bibles and encyclopedias, an antique revolver collection, a set of elegant cigar pipes, and an intricately detailed model of a Navy destroyer. In the heart of the American Midwest, in what I had assumed was a remote farming town with little culture, I had stumbled upon a household filled with history, art, and knowledge. Curious, I asked Peter, "So what do you do for a living?" He smiled.
My wife and I manage about 100 hectares of farmland. We're our own bosses.
I was taken aback. Were they farmers? I pressed further. Do you actually work in the fields? Peter chuckled.
No, I don't actually work in the fields.
He continued.
I follow a year-round schedule for planting and irrigation. If I need to sow seeds, spray pesticides, or harvest, I simply call my contractors. They care for everything.
I was fascinated. How do they plant the seeds? I've never seen anyone working in the fields.
That's because you expect to see farmers bent over in the fields. But in America, farming isn't about physical labor, but management. Machines plant the seeds. Machines harvest the crops. The people, they oversee everything.
This was more than agricultural mechanization. It transformed agriculture into an enterprise. American agriculture's remarkably advanced condition also reflects a way of life. That evening, we gathered for the Thanksgiving feast. The hostess assembled her 3-generation family, along with us and 2 other Chinese students, around the dining table. Before the meal, there was a moment of silence. The host bowed his head and prayed thanks to God for the blessings of the past year. A family prayer precedes a meal. I had only ever experienced this in films, yet here I was, observing it unfold in real life. An air of solemnity and mystery surrounded it, something profoundly reverent. At that moment, I reflected on this meaningful tradition, waiting for everyone to gather before dining and expressing gratitude before partaking. It felt courteous and civilized, and I could see the value in giving thanks. But giving thanks to God? God? The dinner was buffet style, with a rich and varied spread of dishes that felt like a true harvest celebration. As we ate, I chatted with Peter's parents and their children, slowly piecing together the meaning of Thanksgiving. For them, Thanksgiving was the most cherished family reunion of the year, similar to our New Year's or Spring Festival in China. Their eldest son had just returned from Wichita, 180 miles away, and the hostess's brother had made a long journey from Atlanta to join the gathering. This was their closest family event annually, yet they had invited strangers into their home. They welcomed foreign students like us to partake in one of their most cherished traditions. But why? Wasn't America meant to be a place where individuality, privacy, and even selfishness flourished, as we had been conditioned for so long? This left me baffled. Naturally, I didn't inquire further. However, as the evening unfolded, the warmth and generosity of their family made it abundantly clear they embraced us as part of their family rather than mere guests. As we were getting ready to depart, I caught a glimpse upstairs, and there they were, their kids and my daughter Lucy, chasing each other back and forth in the hall. They giggled and played so energetically that they almost toppled the second-floor balcony railing. I stood there, watching, just momentarily. I forgot that we were strangers in a new land and had met these people only hours earlier. In this warm, inviting home, it truly felt like we belonged. At that instant, I understood. Perhaps I had misunderstood America all along. After that point, I started to see indications of deep family connections throughout America. Professors prominently showcased photos of their spouses and children on their desks. Casual chats frequently led to enthusiastic talks about family, with others often asking about mine in return. While remote work was typical, holidays saw people making an effort to either call home or visit family. In social settings, couples consistently attended together, with husbands and wives collaborating as true partners in all facets of life. One thing that struck me was how many wives appeared content as full-time homemakers, happily raising their children with a sense of fulfillment. This was in stark contrast to what we had learned in China, where American families were depicted as dysfunctional, morally lax, and plagued by divorce. It wasn't until later that I recognized this skewed perspective primarily stemmed from Hollywood films, which focused on extreme situations and drama in big cities rather than the reality of heartland American life. With June's arrival and Lucy's company, our apartment transformed into a warm and inviting gathering spot on campus. June's warmth and hospitality quickly lured Taiwanese and mainland Chinese students who regularly visited to enjoy the Yang family atmosphere. American students also began to drop by, captivated by June's delightful homemade pastries and treats. Before long, Mrs. Yang had emerged as a campus favorite. With support from the local church community, we enrolled Lucy in Head Start, a federally funded preschool program designed to support children from low-income families. The program offered early learning experiences in a structured school-like environment, provided nutritious breakfasts and lunches free of charge, and gave children valuable opportunities for social interaction and growth. Lucy had just arrived in America and spoke no English at all. When teachers and classmates addressed her, she usually didn't respond. June was fully occupied dropping Lucy off, picking her up, and adjusting to their new daily routine. We received a letter from the school administration 3 weeks after Lucy started school. June was nervous. The moment I returned home, she handed it to me anxiously.
Read it quickly,
She urged, her voice strained with worry. She couldn't shake a sense of dread. What if the letter was about Lucy's English skills? What if she wasn't learning quickly enough? Had she failed some kind of assessment? Or worse, what if they planned to expel her? I opened the letter. It was an official notice. The school had scheduled a multidisciplinary evaluation for Lucy. A team of specialists, including a language expert, a child psychologist, a social worker, Lucy's teachers, and, of course, us, her parents, would gather to assess her language abilities and developmental progress. I explained this to June. She muttered in Shanghainese.
They probably think Lucy is dumb and can't talk.
I burst out laughing. The teachers meant well, but their concerns felt a little overreactive. Lucy had just arrived from another country. She'd only been in an English-speaking environment for 3 weeks. She was only 4. Of course, she couldn't speak English yet. Nevertheless, despite our concern, I knew I had to attend this evaluation conference with June. After all, the outcome could determine whether Lucy remained in school. On the scheduled day, we sat in a conference room, as if attending a Pentagon briefing on national security, but in this case, the subject was a 4-year-old girl. The teacher began by introducing Lucy's background. The language specialist conducted hearing and comprehension tests. The psychologist showed Lucy symbolic images, both in black and white and color, to measure her cognitive responses. Meanwhile, the social worker observed and documented everything for future reference. Finally, they interviewed us about Lucy's language environment at home and how we communicated with her. At the end of the meeting, their conclusion was clear. Lucy's hearing, intelligence, responsiveness, and language abilities were perfectly normal. She simply needed more time to acquire English. After the meeting, June sighed in relief.
I told you Lucy wasn't dumb.
The entire process amused us. Had the teachers overreacted? Maybe, but deep down, we felt something else, a sense of awe. This extraordinary level of proactive concern, meticulous assessment, and cross-disciplinary collaboration focused entirely on one child was beyond anything we had ever experienced. What truly surprised us was realizing this wasn't special treatment for us as foreigners. It was simply standard practice within the U.S. educational system, and that was even more astonishing.